Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. I am Steve Gray. And this is a topic you might have seen a couple people do videos about this, but I feel like there hasn't been enough talking about these. So Fender debates the Vintera II series, bringing back the Bass 6, a Nirvana-inspired Mustang, and a wealth of vintage spec models. So something that is important to know about all of these models. They are all made in Mexico. So if you do not like that, there you go, made in Mexico. Also, a lot of these are vintage style truss rods. What does that mean for the truss rod? It means that you have to physically take the neck off of the body to adjust the truss rod. So if you do not like that, you may want to stay away from some of the 50s and 60s spec ones, or look into it and see which specific models do not do that, because I personally hate having to do that. I have one guitar where I have to do that, and it needs an adjustment like once a year, and I always forget, because I only adjust it once a year. I always forget how much I need to adjust it, so by the time I have to adjust it again, I gotta put the neck on and off like 3 times to get it where I need it, and it is just the most aggravating thing ever. So that's something to note as well. But let's see, we have a no-caster, a Kurt Cobain-esque competition Mustang lineup, along with a new suite of Strats, Tellys, Jazzmasters, Jags, all of which aim to give modern players access to the golden era guitars, complete with the return of actual rosewood fretboards. Yep, no Pau Ferro here. So that's something you can like. And yes, there are some basses as well, if you are a bass fan in this series. So Fender has officially launched the Vintera II series, a long-awaited follow-up. Back in 2019, Fender debated the Vintera series, which was marketed as a suite of vintage-inspired instruments that paid homage to the style, sound, and swagger of the past, with an assortment of period-correct specs, all while catering to modern players. As such, you won't be surprised to hear it's a similar story for the upgraded Vintera II family, which looks to appease those Fender fans who, according to Fender's EVP of Products, Justin Norval, still gravitate to our most iconic offerings. So, boomer guitars. We'll go with that. It's a good saying. So the series strikes a harmonious chord between traditional and evolution, giving the global playing community a chance to experience some authentic 60s P basses or 50s jazz masters, and more with the same modern craftsmanship and playability they expect from Fender. So basically, it's kind of like playing a replica of a very old instrument for significantly cheaper. And keep in mind, these aren't super cheap. They're all around $1,000 and up, I believe. I don't think there's anything that's under $1,000 in this series for price point. To do this, Fender has bolstered an arsenal of Mexican-made models by way of freshly crafted vintage spec Strats, Tellys, Jazzmasters, Jaguars, 50s, 60s, and 70s models, which arrive in the era-correct neck shapes, vintage voiced pickups. Keep in mind, the 70s models, you also may not like them because they are correct 3-bolt construction. I find it weird that they didn't bother putting the tilt feature on them. I understand that is kind of more expensive. So you didn't have, you could do a little bit of a tilt, a little bit of adjustment there. That was a cool feature, especially if they didn't, put either make the neck properly, or if they didn't carve the neck pocket properly, and it avoided having to use a shim. I do not believe that is a feature on these, to my knowledge. However, at first glance, the Vintera lineup seems to be beyond its predecessor, introducing a handful of previously unavailable guitars and models that pay homage to classic 6-strings. Specifically, in light of the recent Beatles-related development, the new and improved range brings past the Bass 6 to an accessible format. That is right. It's not a Squier Bass 6. It's an actual Fender Bass 6 that is not as ridiculously priced. As well as offering a Kurt Cobain competition Mustang, the no-caster. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So we're going to start off with the Fender 50s no-caster, and it's a Blackguard Telly, adjustment at the heel. So it's called a no-caster because they called it the Broadcaster originally, just for a quick little history lesson, and then I think it was Gretsch or somebody had a drum set that was called that, so they were like, all right, let's just take the logo off, and then later it became the Telecaster. So that's why there was a period of time where there was no name on the Telecasters. It just said Fender on the headstock. So you have 50's U-shaped neck. It is a lot of these are going to be 7.25 radius. So if you do not like the vintage style radius, also might not be for you. You know, they've been putting it on the John Mayer, the PRS John Mayers. He seems to like it, and he can bend on it no problem. But some people may not like 7.25. I don't know if I've ever played a guitar that's actually had a 7.25 inch radius, so who knows. Vintage style 50's pickups, and then that is going to be 1,149. Then we have a vintage 50 Stratocaster. Also keep in mind the vintage correct means 21 frets. I personally am a fan of 22 or 24 frets. 21 frets does kind of bug me, so that is probably going to deter me from buying a lot of the vintage correct ones at the very least. You know, there's a multitude of colors. Let's see, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And even the Jazzmaster, the 50's Jazzmaster is rocking the 21 frets. Keep in mind, this is the vintage correct Jazzmaster bridge. A lot of people don't like those. They complain about the strings popping out. Something that you can do, from what I've been told, is swap those out with a Mustang bridge. I mean, do you really want to swap out a bridge on a $1,250 guitar? No, but if you are having a problem with it, if the grooves are not cut deep enough where the strings are keep popping out of that bridge, that it may be something you want to do. We got a 50's precision bass. 20 frets, I guess, on that bad boy. Here we go. Here's the one that everybody wants to see, the 60's Bass 6. And let's see, do we have $1,400 for that one? So it takes advantage of the drastically increased internet surrounding the hybrid guitar bass models. Yeah, no, I mean, people seem to be interested in the Bass 6. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be interested in the little wiggle stick down there. Some people do not like that. But a bunch of on and off switches. You got 3 pickups there. It's essentially, I believe it's like a guitar. I mean, it's technically a bass, but it's also kind of like a guitar. You know, it's easy. The idea was, okay, well, we'll give something to guitarists that, you know, has that bass sound, but is more like a guitar. It's also 7.5 inch radius. I really liked, there was a purple square one. I really liked that. It was a lot cheaper than this. But yeah, considering the real ones go for $20,000 rather. Then we have a 60 Strat as well. Yet again, 21 frets, going to be adjusting at the heel. 60s Telecaster, same deal with that. Then you have the 60s Thin Line, same thing. Cool guitar, you know, you got the hole in it. Then you got the 60s precision bass, and I guess the basses are also adjustment at the heel, which, yet again, I really hate. Then we have the 70s Competition Mustang. So I believe this one, when you get to the 70s, that's where you start getting the 22 frets on stuff. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, this does have 22 frets. Unfortunately, this thing looks like it is also a heel adjustment, which kind of sucks. This is $1,150. I'm rounding up because I hate when they do the 49 thing. I am curious if the stripe continues on the back, because the last time we got these with the competition stripe, as I call it, it didn't wrap around the back too. Like, it just like stopped at the edge, and I thought that was really weird. Didn't understand why, but who knows. Here we go. So here's the 70s Strat. You get the bullet truss rod. So here, getting into the 70s is where I actually like these things, because while, yes, some of these still have 21 frets, which I'm not a fan of, at least you can adjust the truss rod at a reasonable place. Wow, even the 70s Jaguar, I guess it's hit or miss with the 70s if you can actually get a hold of the truss rod, but that is a really nice Jaguar. How many frets is that? 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, maybe that is 22 frets. But yet again, 7.25 radius. Some people don't like that, and also I believe this is something where you probably have to pop the neck off. It looks like you might be able to adjust that at the bottom. We'll take a look at that in a minute on the actual Fender page. Then we got the Telecaster Deluxe, which is really interesting. So bullet truss rod, 21 frets, Strat style tremolo humbucker. So basically a Telecaster that is a Les Paul. I guess that's what I like to call these things. It does not sound like a traditional Telecaster, that is for sure. Then we have a Mustang. So that's pretty cool too. Mustang bass We have a Telecaster bass from the 70s, and it says go to Fender to go check out some other stuff. So, oh, here we go. Here's that 70s Jaguar. I want to see how the truss rod adjusts in this thing, if you have easy access to it or not. You might have access to that. If you, well, I guess you're going to either have to pop off the neck or pop off the pick guards, because it looks like there's a little bit of access down there, but it's kind of hard to tell. And you know, with these vintage instruments, that's just kind of how it was. Let's take a look at the 60s bass, because I'm curious about that too, where that truss rod adjustment's going to be. It's 60s, so my guess, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Unfortunately, this suffers the same fate of having you have to take the neck off of the guitar or the pick guard off of the guitar to get access to the truss rod, which I just hate that. I really do hate that. It is not user friendly whatsoever. Let's take a look at the old Mustang. Let's see if I was correct on the assumption that the stripes do not go onto the back. I do not like that color. Competition orange, not a fan. Yep, I was correct. So see how it just gets cut off? It just like gets cut off right there. So right here, it just kind of like cuts off, and I don't know why they do that. And yeah, no truss rod adjustment at the top. So yet again, you're either taking the pick guard off, or you are taking the neck off to adjust a lot of these. That's my only. I would say that's my only grief with these things. Like, I understand you want to do everything vintage correct. Ooh, I like that. 60s jazz bass. I just sold my jazz bass. I had a black one. I sold because I wasn't using it. But yet again, I love the color, but I hate that you have to adjust the truss rod from the heel. You're going to hear me saying that on like all of these. I don't want to drag this video out too much longer. But I'm surprised they actually didn't mention the jazz bass in that article. That's very interesting. So there is a jazz bass if you're interested. My biggest grief with these is, you know, I understand doing everything vintage spec, but at the same time, can we just bring the truss rod to the normal placement of the neck? You know, put it right above the nut. And I understand it's not 100% vintage correct, but there's no need to make them this way anymore, because people are constantly tweaking their guitars depending on if they're doing different string gauges, or you don't know what tuning they're going to be in. And it's just so much more user friendly. And I think a spec nobody would complain about if you brought the truss rod for all of these up to its usual location on the neck, where you just loosen, you know, your two middle strings there, your D and G, to put your old hex wrench in, or Allen wrench, and then you're good to go. But that is my only grievance with these. I think they're cool. I think they're cool specs. You get real rosewood. The 21 frets, well, you know, some people that's fine, some people that annoys, like me, that kind of annoys. But I really like that Mustang. I really like that bass 6. Will I pull the trigger on it? Probably not, because, you know, I'm not going to dish out a bunch of money for a brand new guitar if it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do. I personally, with the bass 6, I think I would personally rather have the Squire one, because I like the color better, and you can more easily adjust the truss rod. Also, it's significantly cheaper. And for me, it would be more of a gimmick. I probably wouldn't use it all that much anyway. If you're going to use it all the time, sure, go for it. But that's that. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Turn on that notification bell. Leave a like and share. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.